By 2024, LeBron James played in 54 playoff series and 287 playoff games. He's faced 24 different franchises in the postseason. One opponent stands above all the others, the Boston Celtics.
We didn't give a about LeBron. We didn't fear LeBron, and we didn't think that he can beat all five of us.
LeBron played the Celtics in 41 playoff games over 7 different series, and some of his most legendary moments happened in the TD Garden. From heartbreaking losses to game winners and 40-point triple-doubles, this is the complete history of LeBron versus the Celtics. LeBron came to the NBA in 2003, at a time when both the Cavs and the Celtics were struggling. Cleveland missed the playoffs in James's first 2 seasons, while Paul Pierce and the Celtics were only able to squeeze 2 first-round playoff exits. But despite not clashing in the playoffs, Pierce and LeBron immediately grew a distaste for each other. Pierce was considered a premier small forward in the Eastern Conference, and he saw young LeBron as a threat, disliking all the media attention that the chosen one was getting. The Truth was determined to show the rookie that he'll have to go through him if he dreams of doing something in the East. And after LeBron scored just 10 points to Paul's 19 in his first game against Pierce in Boston, LeBron erupted for 37 when the Celtics came to Cleveland, a career high at the time. However, Pierce bested him with 41 of his own, spiced up with some trash talking towards Otis Carter, Maverick Carter's dad, and someone who James considers an uncle. "Tell him to be quiet or I'll drop 50 on you," Pierce said to LeBron. During the 2004 preseason, before LeBron's sophomore campaign, Pierce and James nearly had a fight in the locker room after they clashed on the court.
Both teams were beating in the back. Guys was ready to fight. We had to hold people back like it went up from there.
And they continued to play extremely tough against each other on every occasion. In 2006, Pierce scored 50 on LeBron in a double overtime game, becoming the first Celtic since Larry Bird to score a half a century, though James had 43 and took home the win. Then, finally, in 2008, we got the long-awaited playoff matchup between LeBron and the Celtics, with their new Big Three. It was a hard-nosed, old-school series, with a lot of hard fouls and limited scoring. After both teams defended their home court in the first 4 contests, and no player scored more than 28 points in a game, LeBron exploded with 35 in a pivotal Game 5. And yet, it still wasn't enough, as Pierce scored 29 and Boston took a 3-2 series lead. Then, James forced a Game 7 with a brilliant performance in Game 6 with 32 points and 12 rebounds, and it was a prelude to one of the most legendary games of the decade. In Game 7, in Boston, Pierce and LeBron traded buckets the whole game, and James finished with 45 points, scoring nearly half of all Cleveland's points. But Pierce countered with 41 points of his own, and the Celtics escaped with a victory that would later end up with a championship. In 2010, the Celtics and the Cavs met in the Eastern semis again, and this time, Coach Doc Rivers didn't want LeBron to bully smaller defenders. He smartly assigned Pierce as the primary defender on LeBron, and even though Pierce only averaged 13 points to LeBron's 27, the Celtics and their Big Three were just too strong for James's supporting cast. In the deciding Game 6, despite a monstrous 27-19-10 triple-double from James, the Cavs mustered just 85 points, and the Celtics kicked LeBron out of the playoffs again. And the sight of a disappointed LeBron taking off his jersey as he exited the arena was a sign of what was coming next.
The answer to the question everybody wants to know. LeBron, what's your decision?
In this fall, man, this is very tough. In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
In his first playoff series as a member of the Heat, the basketball gods took LeBron to Boston once again. But this time, with Wade and Bosh by his side, the King finally had the help he needed, and the Heat stomped the Celtics in 5 games. It seemed like LeBron had finally solved the Celtics puzzle forever, and that Pierce, Garnett, and Allen would never bother him in the playoffs again. However, after he lost the 2011 finals to Dallas in the very next season, LeBron was on the brink of another disappointing playoff loss to the Celtics. In the 2012 Eastern Conference Finals, Boston took a 3-2 series lead, fueled by Pierce's clutch 3 over LeBron that decided Game 5. The naysayers, led by Skip Bayless, had already written off LeBron, saying that he's missing the killer instinct and that he could never be compared to Jordan.
LeBron James runs from the shot again!
And then, staring into the abyss of another embarrassing playoff loss to his biggest nemesis, LeBron delivered the best performance of his life. For the first time ever, LeBron was not looking to pass the ball. Instead, he kept hitting shot after shot, dismantling the Celtics' 4 All-Stars with 45 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists, as he single-handedly blew out the Celtics on their home floor. But he wasn't done yet, because he followed it up with 31 points and 12 rebounds in Game 7 and closed out the series. LeBron finally shut up all the critics and put the final nail in the coffin of the Celtics' Big Three. 2 NBA titles and 3 NBA Finals later, James returned home to fulfill his dream of bringing a championship to Cleveland. And in his first season back, LeBron and the Cavs faced another playoff clash against his old foes from Boston. But this time around, the Celtics had no no real championship aspirations and were lucky just to make the playoffs. The Cavs made it look easy with a series sweep, and James averaged 27, 9, and 6 in 4 games. However, thanks to the trade fiasco of Billy King and the Nets, the Celtics were able to draft Jaylen Brown in 2016 and then Jason Tatum a year later. Despite the departure of their Big Four, Boston was quickly in contention again, led by All-Star Isaiah Thomas. In 2017, the Celtics were the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference and were gearing up to challenge the Kings' supreme reign in the East. And just like everybody predicted, Boston and Cleveland met in the conference finals, and this time the Celtics proved to be a much tougher opponent. After 3 games, the score was 2-1 in favor of the Cavs, and the Boston crowd believed their young team could beat LeBron once again. However, James, Kyrie, and Love quickly killed those hopes with 2 blowout wins and another trip to the finals against Golden State. In 2018, Boston and Cleveland made a blockbuster trade that sent Kyrie Irving to the Celtics, and Isaiah Thomas became a Cavalier. Boston also made a big splash in the offseason by signing Gordon Hayward, and they suddenly looked more stacked than Cleveland. The NBA matchmakers put the Celtics and the Cavs to play in the season opener in a game that will never be remembered for the final score, but for the brutal injury of Gordon Hayward. After Hayward was ruled out for the season, the Celtics' title hopes dropped significantly. And then, in April 2018, another disaster.
The Celtics, Irving's doctors, Irving, have decided here that his season is over.
After a bacterial infection in his surgically repaired knee, Kyrie Irving was also ruled out for the season, and the Celtics' dream team was down their 2 best players. Still, they finished second in the conference, and their young stars Tatum and Brown proved to be a tough matchup for everybody. Boston defeated the Bucks and the Sixers to secure another conference finals matchup against LeBron. And because the Cavs looked worse than ever during James's tenure, the Celtics had a real chance to finally dethrone the King. After the first 2 games, Boston held a 2-0 lead, convincingly defeating James and his mediocre supporting cast by a combined 38 points. But then the Cavs responded with a blowout of their own, and in Game 4, LeBron turned on the turbo and delivered another performance for the ages, finishing with 44 points in a big win. However, Boston took Game 5, which meant the Cavs needed 2 consecutive victories to make the finals, and in Game 6, the King delivered big time, in a performance that was reminiscent of Game 6 from 2012. This time, he finished with 46 points, 11 rebounds, and 9 assists to propel Cleveland to victory and force a Game 7. But despite the Kings' greatness, the Celtics were hopeful to advance because they played Game 7 at home, where they won all previous 3 games in the series. Before the game, LeBron decided he would not miss a single second, and he stayed true to his word, playing the full 48 minutes of Game 7. Coach Lue used timeouts primarily to rest his only star, as the others continued to struggle against a stingy Celtics defense. And if there was any game that showed the true genius of LeBron, his masterful control of game pace, and all the pieces on the chessboard, it was this Game 7. In a low-scoring game in which neither team reached 90 points, LeBron finished with 35 points, 15 rebounds, and 9 assists, which means he was directly responsible for over 60% of all Cleveland's points. Celtics coach Brad Stevens said the plan was to wear James out.
Our goal going into the series was to make him exert as much energy as humanly possible. You know, for the most part, I thought we were pretty good at that, but he still scored 35. It's a joke.
LeBron led the Cavs to an improbable victory on the road and his 8th consecutive trip to the NBA Finals, improving his playoff record against the Celtics to 5-2. Overall, against his most frequent opponent, LeBron has a 25-16 record in the postseason, with averages of 29.6 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 6.3 assists. Out of the 29 career playoff games in which he scored 40-plus points, 5 came against the Celtics, and 4 of those happened in TD Garden. If Reggie Miller was dubbed the Knicks killer, then LeBron can be called the Celtics killer, and it's no wonder that it's his favorite city to play in. And who knows, if the Celtics and the Lakers make the 2025 finals, maybe we're in for round number 8 between the Celtics and the Celtics killer. If you like this video, subscribe to Nonstop and watch some more great basketball content.